focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
Welcome to the Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo. And of course, I'm your host. It's episode number 49. Can't believe we've done this 49 times. I'm so excited. We have today Cayla Craft. She is host of the Mommy Millionaire podcast, a mom of three, self-made millionaire and lifestyle entrepreneur. She lives in California. She was an ER nurse before getting rid of her 9-to-5 and, on the mission of helping women pursue their passion for owning their own businesses. Her first taste of success began when she created a 60,000 plus people organization for a company that sold health and wellness supplements. And she's now on a mission. Her main goal is to help women shamelessly pursue their ambitions and grow some good old 7-figure millionaire businesses. We got the awesome Cayla Craft. Hey, Kayla, before we get started, I got a quick question. What is the imposter syndrome that you talk about? What is that?
Oh my gosh. I love talking about the imposter syndrome. It's basically like, I'll tell you a story. I remember being called up on stage in my network marketing company, just announced a millionaire at age 26. And they, said, Cayla Craft. And I remember walking across stage and say, there must be another Cayla Craft, because that is not me. And that's exactly what imposter syndrome is like, even though you might have accomplished a lot of things in your life, you may still not feel good enough to get the recognition that you deserve, or you feel like you're not good enough to be in that room, good enough to be on that stage. And so many people suffer from it. And so I'm all about not following that syndrome and
why is that? Why do you think that happens to people?
You know what? I really honestly think it's because as a young child, we aren't taught to celebrate our successes. It's kind of like, well, don't brag about yourself. And so we've always kind of played down our gifts and who we are. And so when somebody is talking about our gifts, or if we're in a room full of successful people, we want to downplay everything that we've done to make sure other people don't feel uncomfortable. And so I'm all about being freaking shameless, showing off what you got. And I think that when you shine your light bright, it just gives people permission to shine their light bright as well. I don't ever want to dim myself to make somebody else feel uncomfortable.
I love that. And I feel like the challenge is that we as a society, or we as even salespeople, we don't realize that nobody is going to say great things about you. Nobody's going to advertise for you. You have to advertise yourself. You have to be excited about when you do good. I always tell my agents, when you do good, send me a text so I can send it out to the organization, let everybody know how awesome you are. Why not? And some people are afraid to do that. They don't want to feel like they're bragging do you see that happens? Does that?
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah, so much. And I think that, on the same side of that, most people love recognition too, though. They don't want it, but then when they get it, it's like, oh my gosh, give me more, right? Isn't that crazy?
Right. It's awesome. All right. You had a pretty, we're going to jump into your journey here, and you had a pretty, maybe difficult childhood, would we call it?
Oh, absolutely.
Your dad was in jail. So tell us a little bit about how that affects a 5-year-old.
Well, I think I started to experience shame at a very early age, and growing up like that, there's a lot of stories you tell yourself to protect yourself. And I always kind of hid who I was because I didn't want people, I wanted just to be in the background. I didn't want to be well known. I didn't want to be the popular kid because I didn't want people to know about my dad. I just thought if people know that my dad's in jail, they're going to think I'm a bad person too. And so it was that hiding at a very young age. And so you can just imagine, you have kids. I don't want my kid to hide. I want them to just, let their flag fly, and it's just So it's just a lot of like stories that made me be very scared to show who I was. And then one thing that helped me is like when I became a nurse, I really started to like feel confident because I was really good at it. And then I started to like let myself be seen more and more. And it's a practice to like change the story and to step into who you are, but yeah, it was hard.
Did your mom, because I know she went through bankruptcy, and do you remember those days and
Oh
how
my
it
gosh,
affected
yes.
you as a kid? I mean, how did it affect you?
Well, you just grow up quickly. Like, I have a 9, 7, and 4-year-old, and they don't have a clue what what reality is, right? And that's the way I like it, because I don't want them to grow up too soon. I don't want them to lose their sense of innocence. And I lost that when I was 5 years old. So I remember like I would never ask for anything ever, because it was like my mom, of course, she wanted to give me the world. She just couldn't. She was doing the best with what she had. And I remember just like living in such an uncertain lifestyle. And when you live in uncertainty, it actually causes you to be a control freak, which is a whole nother issue. When you become a business owner and a mom, you realize you can't be a control freak. But I just remember like always wanting to have money and not having it. And so that also made me be like super freaking driven, because I'm like, this lady is doing everything she can, and we're still struggling. And I remember one time I broke my arm when I was 7, and I looked down at the deformity and I'm like crying in pain. And I look up at my mom and I said, "Don't take me to the hospital. I know we don't have insurance." And the look in her eyes, I'll never forget it. It was like she was so ashamed. And that was the moment I knew that like I was never going to suffer like that. And I knew I was going to help moms never have to look at their kids like that. And so it started at a very young age. Me, like all of those things I tell my mom, I'm like, I'm so sorry that you had to live that life. But because you did, now I'm helping like tens of thousands of women. Because if I would have had an easy life, like I probably wouldn't be as driven. Like I know that. So I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mom, that you did that. But I just want you to know that there's a purpose of why you lived that life.
Isn't it interesting that we go through things in our life and we're able to use those situations to fuel us to go be better? I mean, every challenge, every situation in my life, I've always tried to look at like, look, yes, it sucks. Yes, it doesn't feel good. Yes, I'm not a perfect person or whatever, but if I can turn this situation around and use it to my advantage, do you kind of feel in a way that you used the not growing up with money, you used it as a fuel, like a fire inside of you to go freaking get rich? I mean, is that kind of what happened, right?
That's exactly what happened. And like, even I use my story to my advantage all the time to like book media segments, like with my own book that went bestseller in 45 minutes. Like I use my story now to my advantage. And I think a lot of people, like, they want to have a pity party with their story. And I'm like, I want a victory party. Like, that's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to turn this crap into something great, huh?
Yes.
And I think like, getting into that, because I think that a lot of people, they live their life in a victim mentality. And so tell us about how damaging it is to live your life in a victim mentality.
Oh gosh. I mean, you miss out on so many opportunities, because most people, they look at life through the lens of why me? Why is this happening to me? And when you can switch the lens to what am I going to learn from this? Everything changes in your life, because you see opportunity when before you just saw devastation. So most people that are victims, they're broke, they're unhappy, and they are not living up to their full potential. It's so stinking sad, but I see so many like people that I grew up with that had such a better childhood than me. Like you would think that they would, be way better off than I am now. And it's like they're victims. because, mommy didn't buy them something, daddy, had an affair. Who freaking cares? Like, move on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, live in your, your childhood over and over and over again. I mean,
Yeah.
people literally they crush their entire existence in life, and we only got one shot at this deal, right? I mean, like, we got one chance to make this great, to make this awesome, and it's like, why would we spend our life reliving? I remember Anthony Robbins. He's one of my earlier mentor coaches. And I remember he talked about, in our brains is like a record, and it just keeps playing, or, it just keeps going around and around and around. And sometimes you got to take the record out of your brain. You need to scratch the shit out of it. Just scratch it up, break it if you have to, and then throw it, because if you don't stop the story is killing your. Who cares what happened in your childhood? Who cares what happened, to you, whatever, your bad situation? You have to use that to take you to that next level of success. Agreed?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think that you just have to replace the record, the broken record in the back of your mind. Replace it with something that's going to serve you. And I do a lot of my work is like teaching people how to transform their subconscious mind, because once you can make your subconscious mind your friend, everything will change.
Okay. So what's the subconscious mind, and what does that mean to you?
So your subconscious mind, it's just what it says. It's like, you're not conscious of the thoughts that it's thinking, but you're thinking them. Your thoughts, you think 70,000 thoughts a day. So clearly we're not aware of those. I can think right now, I'm like, of one thought I've been thinking of all morning, right? But we don't know that there's a whole nother thing going on in our brain. And so we need to become aware of what our subconscious is thinking. And the way that you do that is I journal. And I answer a lot of questions. I do a lot of self-reflection to find out where am I self-sabotaging myself. And most people, they're sabotaging themselves all day long, and they didn't even realize it. And most people do it with money, right? I just did a millionaire mindset challenge on my Instagram, and most people, they've been like thinking what their parents thought about money and they're in their 50s. And I'm like, that's why you're still broke, because they still have this record playing in the back of their mind. No, we can't afford it. No, we can't afford it. And it's like, okay, that's what you tell yourself all day. You look for proof of that to be true. And so, or like if your subconscious mind is saying, I'm not good enough, it looks for proof all day long that it's not good enough.
Some of the most powerful words in the human language is I and am. So I am. So whatever you say after I am will ultimately become your reality. And so you say, I am not a good salesperson. I am not a good people person. I mean, I literally had a guy tell me yesterday, he's like, I'm not good with people. I can't sell. I'm no good. I stay in my house. I mean, it's like, just crushing his life in negativity because of the words that he's telling himself. And so the subconscious mind, just so everybody kind of gets an understanding, I mean, it's like, I always tell people that you ever driving down the road and you make a turn and you're like, shoot, I shouldn't have made that turn because I made a right instead of a left. But instead I should have, the reason why you made the wrong turn is because your mind is so used to doing it the other way. So your subconscious mind is literally running your life. If you don't control it, if you don't understand how it works and how to master the subconscious mind, it's ruling your life. And what you tell it, it's always listening, it's always seeing, it's always recording. And if you don't, record the correct things in your life, what's your favorite book? I mean, what's a book that changed your life?
I would say the most powerful book I read was The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And I feel like that's kind of a classic in network marketing, right? So I read that for the first time 8 years ago. And I thought, okay, this is so woo-woo. It's so weird. Now I read like really woo-woo books. So it's really funny that I thought his was. And at the end of each chapter, he has an exercise that you do. Like you have to tap your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. And I never did that. I was like, that's so weird. And now I actually have all my students do that because I'm like, it works. So that was something that in that book, he says a line, he says, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. And so you can paint whatever picture you want your mind to believe. And so I really started to believe in the power of your mind. And I'm like, okay, I need to just give myself a different focus and fill, my mind with different thoughts. And so I constantly, I would say to myself 300 times a day, I have a millionaire mind. I have a millionaire mind. And pretty soon, I was a millionaire 3 years later.
How the heck did you grow a company to 60,000 people? I mean, how the heck did you do that? How hard did you work to be able to accomplish that?
Yeah, I think it's 75,000 people now. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
I grew up in a town called Bakersfield, which is a pretty small town full of agriculture. And I had no network. I was working as an ER nurse, and I was also an instructor at a local college teaching people how to become nurses. I was 23 years old. So you already know, I'm a very ambitious person. And I went to a meeting, and they talked about financial freedom. And because I had my background of, not having anything, and I heard the words freedom, I was like, sign me up. I was like, all I have to do is drink these shakes and tell people about it. This is easy. And so that was my mindset. I never believed that it was going to be hard for me, because up to that point in my life, anything I did, when there was a will, there was a way. I wanted to be a nurse by the time I was 21. Most people don't do that. And I did. So I had proven to myself over and over again that what I put my mind to, I could accomplish. Even though back then I didn't realize it was a thing. Now I know, it's a thing I teach people about. But I never told myself the story that I couldn't do it. My story from the get-go was, if that little lady over there is driving that white Mercedes Benz because she sold these things, I can do it too. And that was my story. That was what my subconscious mind believed right away. So I was just constantly telling myself all the time, I can do this. I can do this. And so when you have that bulletproof belief in yourself, guess what happens? People are attracted to it. So I went around every single day. I talked to 12 people a day. That was my rule, because I did not have time to talk to people, but I knew that I could check people off okay, I got to talk to 12 people because there's power in numbers. And that's what I did. And so many people told me no, but enough people told me yes. And that's what I like to tell people in any type of sales job. Enough people will tell you yes. Sometimes it's just one person that will change everything for you, but you have to talk. You have to open your mouth. You have to share the opportunity, and you can't just be like, yeah, here's this thing. Here's this thing. No, enthusiasm is what gets people to say yes to you. And so I had this, I'm 23 and I'm enthusiastic. I have this 1-year-old, I'm pregnant, first of all. And I was just enthusiastic. I believed so much that I was going to become a millionaire in this company. And other people were just like, okay, yeah, I'll do it too. And most people said, you're freaking crazy. And they still think I'm crazy to this day, but I just laugh all the way to the bank, So that's how I did it. I mean, you just have to talk to enough people, and you suck at first, but you get better. That's the thing, is I remember I think it was my second month actually. I sold weight loss supplements. So I'm in the gym and I get called that my kid has bitten another kid in kids care. And I'm like, okay, let me go get him. And the mom comes out and she's so sad that, my kid did this. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, when did you start coming to the gym? And she said, I just started. I said, oh, it looks like you just started. I would love to help you. Yes, I know. I see your face. I would love to help you. I actually sell weight loss supplements. So can I get your email? And my kid just bit her kid, right? I like to tell that story because every master was once a disaster, right?
That's it.
And she sent me this nasty email, how could you? And I learned my lesson. I was like, okay, I can't put a target on everybody's head, right? I need to, build the relationship. But all of us, we have to go through things like that. Those are little stingers, I like to call them, but those are stingers. You don't forget the pain of those things. And it helps you either change. I could have quit right then and said, this is just not for me, right? It's not for me. But instead I go, you know what? It's just a lesson. It's just a lesson. I know I'm going to get better. I'm not going to do that again. So that's
And look,
how I built it.
and look, you got to tell the story down the road too. I mean, so now you get to use that negative situation, that bad story, you get to use it for your benefit. Again, you're taking something that was once not good, using it to your benefit in the future. Oh my God, if people only got that today on the podcast right now, take all your shit that has happened to you in your life and figure out, okay, how can I use this shit to give me a better fucking life, man, to change my life, to dramatically change my life. That is what we're talking about today. And we got the great Cayla Craft. She is awesome. She's a mommy millionaire, 3 kids. All right. So look, they say, but Kayla, come on, you're pretty. All right. It's easy for you to get people to follow you. You were young, you know, you have more time than we do. You know, it's easy for you. We can't do it. You know, I have 4 kids. It's just too challenging, you know, just not enough time, Kayla. What can I do? I can't be like you. What do you say to those women?
I would say, yeah, I would say exactly what I say to my kids. You know, if you think you can't, then you can't. But if you decide to change the story today, everything will change for you. And so I always say you're just one decision away from a completely different life. And it's so cliche, but I say it all the time because it's actually true. You can decide right now if you want that to be your story. You want to go down and that be said on your grave? No. What do you want to be said about you? Because if you want to be a powerful woman who leaves a legacy, who takes no excuses, who makes things happen, who inspires people, then you have to start taking those actions today. There's never going to be a perfect time to change your life. It's not going to be when your kids graduate high school, because then you're going to be, moving on to different things. Your husband's going to want to be an empty nester. There's going to always be an excuse. So the time is now for you to change your life. Tomorrow is not promised. And so that's how I always live my life. Like if today was my last day, would I spend it doing this? Absolutely. I would spend it being on a podcast, giving life to people and giving them inspiration, sharing with them my story to hope that they would find hope in it and start to expect success for themselves. And so ask yourself that every day. Would I live my life like this if it was my last day? And most of the time the answer is freaking no. So if your answer is no, you got to change something right now. Don't wait till tomorrow. What can you do different right now?
Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. You're going to hear that a lot from me when you check out my Instagram. So you'll hear me say that a lot. So that how to do it. Okay. Why are people so their brand on social media today?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, it broke out.
Why are people so afraid to build their brand, to get on and expose themselves on social media? Why are people afraid?
Oh, I mean, it's just the number one fear of people. And I know people say this all the time. It's public speaking, right? But what's really the fear underneath that is the fear of abandonment. Okay. So we don't want to speak in public and mess up because we don't want somebody to think we're horrible. Because what happens when people think we're horrible? They leave us. Okay. And so that's what it comes down to, is the fear of abandonment, and everybody struggles with it. I know I do too. I don't want to freaking be alone. And if we put ourselves out there on social media, maybe we offend somebody, and then that means they're not going to like me. And then that means I'm going to be alone forever. That's the story that people have in their minds. And so, this is the thing. If I had the cure to cancer, would I be screaming it from the freaking rooftops, telling everybody? Absolutely. So if you think your brand or your product, your offer is going to change people's lives, like the cure to cancer, if you believe in yourself that much, then why would you not be screaming it from the freaking rooftops? Like, I am so loud on social media because I know if you spend 30 minutes with me, like, your whole life will change forever. Like, I believe in myself so much. And so I'm loud. And people, they don't believe, it just comes down, I don't believe in myself. So I'm not going to scream it from the freaking rooftops. Well, freaking become good enough so that way you feel like what you have to offer is going to change the world. Like do something to be proud about and then get loud about it on social media. Most people, they're being copycats. They're going to Daniel's page and they're copying what he says, rewording it. And of course that doesn't feel good. I don't want to be a copycat, right? And so they don't want to get loud because they don't know who they are. So really focus on, becoming the best version of you, having something of quality to freaking say, which I believe everybody has. They just don't know it yet because they're in regurgitation mode and they don't spend enough time creating their own good content. So I think that was a ramble, but first of all, believe in yourself. And you're going to start believing in yourself when you become more confident in yourself, right? So have something to be proud about. And if that just means that you open up the door for the elderly and you carry their groceries, that's something to be proud about. Like if it means that you volunteer in your kids' classrooms every single week, that's something to be proud about. I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like we all have something that we can give this world. And so you just need to harness it and start sharing it and be proud of who you are. I hate that word. I hate the saying be humble because I don't believe in that. I think you need to be proud about who you are because when you're proud, that's when you change more lives.
And is there a way that we can get better organized on social media? I mean, do you use methods or techniques or ideas to get better organized, or you just do it?
Yeah. So, I'll give you two answers right now. Like I have a whole membership program where I give people content ideas every single month. It's a really amazing membership. It's only $37 a month to be in that group. And I give people ideas. I even give them a content calendar so they know exactly what to post every single day. Okay. But also before that, I'll just give you the free version of what I did when I was building my network marketing business because anybody could do this. Okay. And I had no social media experience. I'm not trained in this, but I was like, we need something duplicatable because that's what works. If you're building a team, right? You need something that people could all do. So Monday was Motivation Monday. Say something inspirational. Tuesday is Transformation Tuesday. How does your offer or your products transform people's lives? So that's when you share testimonials, show before and after pics. Wednesday was, I sold wellness supplements. So of course it's Wellness Wednesday. But for people that are in the financial services area, Wealth Wednesday, give a wealth tip. And even if you're not wealthy yet, you can share something that you're doing. Maybe you are getting out of debt by using Dave Ramsey's envelope system, give a tip, add value to people's life. Thursday is Thankful Thursday. What are you grateful for? Ask your audience what they're grateful for. Engage with them. Friday was, because again, I'm in the health and wellness sector, we did Flex Friday. So it was like, show them what the workout of the day was. Okay. And ask them what they were doing to work out. Always be engaging. Saturday was Saturday Selfie. You're just out and about. And Sunday was Sunday Fun Day. Give them a fun tip that they could go out and do with their family. And so you can see that's very easy. And you don't have to copy anybody else. You get to create your own content. And it's engaging. It gets people to know you, but you're not just selling all week long. Because that's what people don't like. That's what they're scared of on social media too, is like, I don't want to sell every day. So, you got to add value. Add value.
And so did you, were there things that you did to kind of run your social media on a budget?
It costed me $0 back then.
Mm-hmm.
Hello,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any professional headshots. I just learned how to take my own pictures on an iPhone. You know what I mean? But I guess the name of the game there is I would set up everything on a Sunday. So I would seriously go out with a couple friends that were on my team and we would take different outfits and I'd say, okay, I need this look for this post. And so we'd change and we'd take each other's photos on an iPhone. And this wasn't the iPhone like the X's that we have now. It's like the 2s, they weren't nice, but it got the job done, So now, we spend thousands a day in ads, but things have changed now. So in the beginning, you could do it on $0 if that's what you want. For sure.
And so how did you develop, because you're such a great speaker. I mean, you're really well, you could tell your thoughts are well thought out. And, how did you get to that point? I mean, how do people become better public speakers?
Well, it all goes back to you suck at first. And I love to share the story of the first time I ever spoke in public for my network marketing company. I went and it was in front of like a crowd of 20 people, which isn't a lot, but I thought I could just wing it. Honestly, I was like, I know this stuff. I know my story. I'm just going to get up there. And I bombed it like no other. Like, it was painful. It was so painful when I think about that moment. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that day I went home and I signed up for Toastmasters. And I went to Toastmasters every single week. And it was the most uncomfortable thing I ever did. I was like, I don't want to be here right now. But I did it week in and week out because guess what? I'm not a freaking amateur. I want to be a master. And most people, they're just like, they just want to wing it. They want to wing their business. And I'm like, listen, I know one day I want to be a multimillionaire. And so what do multimillionaires do? They practice for success. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, right? And so I wanted to be prepared. And then I had my moment, a couple years later where I got to speak on stage in front of 15,000 people. And in August, I'll be speaking on a stage in front of 80,000 people. So, but that didn't just happen. I practiced all the time. I would look in the mirror and practice, what I would say at launch parties. Because most of what you say is completely nonverbal. It's your body language up there. So if you get up in front of people and you're like this, people can't feel your enthusiasm. Even on a podcast, you can hear my audio. I'm excited. I'm like fired up about life. And my arms are open and my eyes, I'm looking at you, Daniel, like I'm excited. So I think it just comes with practice, and you got to just give yourself grace and know that it's okay to suck at first. You have to be willing to suck though. That's the whole point.
And I think that especially in network marketing, we recruit people that know nothing. I mean, they come from, nothing. They don't know anything. A lot of them don't have college educations, and they're just trying to find a better way to succeed and have a better life. And so they have to start thinking not in terms of like, how much money am I making today? Instead of worrying about the money every day, start thinking about how can I become competent in my craft so that I can, and you said it, master your craft, become a master at what it is that you're trying to accomplish so that you can bring real value to people, because people will pay you for value. People don't have a problem paying people for value. They just have a problem paying people that they don't trust or they don't feel like are bringing value. And so do you think a lot of people, especially starting out in business, young business owners, do you think that they have a lot of distractions and they need to start starving those distractions? Do you believe that?
I love that quote that says, starve your distractions and feed your focus, right? Absolutely. I mean, there's distractions all over the place. I mean, Hulu, like Netflix, hello. And we used to say there's no BV in TV because that's what we call our, sales volume. And I think that there's a shiny object syndrome happening. Like, oh, that sounds good. This influencer's doing this. This person's doing that. This company just hit this marker in sales. Let me go over there. And most people, the reason why they have shiny object syndrome is because they're not thinking about the long-term game. They have this like instant gratification. They want to make money right now. And they don't realize that it takes years to have a harvest because you got to sow the seeds. Then you got to plow it. Like you have to water it. There's lots of things that go into place for you to one day reach your harvest. And so think about your long-term game. And this is what I share with all of my team members is, who do you want to be in 5 years? Who is that person you want to be in 5 years? You got to start doing the work now to be that person, right? So how does that person act? How do they show up to your launch parties? How do they show up on phone calls? How do they show up at a fitness class? Like everything you do matters. How you do anything is how you do everything. Does the multi-million-dollar CEO, are they distracted by what anybody else is doing? Heck no. They're focused on plowing their land. And so if you want to have their fruits, you got to act like them. So, I mean, that's what I have to say to that.
What's your morning routine?
Oh gosh. What is my morning routine? I feel like it's constantly changing. But I always get up right now. I always get up at 5. That doesn't change because I have 3 kids. I got to get up before them. But right now what I've been doing is I do a meditation while in bed, and it's a 30-minute meditation, and it's actually guided. It's completely guided. And the whole point is you do it before you get out of bed. So like it calms you down and you put all these amazing thoughts into your mind and you start out your morning in a state of gratitude. So I do that. Then I head to the gym, and I always work out. I journal, and I visualize, but I do a lot of visualization in that meditation I'm doing right now. But I think for anybody, you can't just like take bits and pieces of what successful people do, right? Because we're all going to do it a little bit differently. Make it yours. But the most important thing to realize about a morning routine is when you have a routine, you own your day. You're in control. You're not reacting to life. You're on the offense. You're like, I'm ready. I'm about to make a touchdown right now. And you're not like defending yourself all day long. And so when you start your day earlier, that's just what happens. You get to win the day.
And I think that your visualization is what keeps you motivated. And it also, again, I believe I'm a law of attraction guy. So I believe a lot in the law of attraction. Whatever you think about with courage and determination and passion will ultimately become your reality. And so I believe that. I've always believed that. So the powerful visualizations that you're putting in your mind every morning, which by the way, I want you to send me whatever that meditation little,
I will.
That routine that you do, send it to me. Because I love that kind of stuff, even throughout the years. And especially when I was working, I went on a 5-year, 6-year run where, I outproduced everybody. And during those years, I used to take naps. I would have a nap during the day. People say, well, I don't take naps, man. I'm a grinder. I kill it every day. No. I would take a 30-minute nap. And I would have this lady, and she was a hypnosis lady, and she would put me in hypnosis state for 26 minutes or whatever. And she would feed my mind with amazing things. And I would wake up and I would feel refreshed and I was energized and I was freaking ready to go kill the world. You know what I mean? And so what you do, this is great, guys, because all of you that are listening to this or watching this right now, you got to understand 23 years old millionaire, okay? 23-year-old millionaire came from a upbringing that, come on, most of us could have easily just became victims of our circumstances or whatever. And I just think it's powerful. But you wonder why some people are successful and some people are not. It's not like this mystery. And I'm having this conversation with you, Kayla, and I'm so excited because it's like a lot of the words that you use, a lot of the stories that you're talking about, and we've never met each other before. This is our first time we've ever met. And like, we use the same words. We say the same things. We think the same thoughts. It's just crazy how success leaves clues. And I'm just a big on that. Hey, look, I want to throw out a couple of questions, and we may add on to a couple of these things. But okay, we talked about your favorite book. Who's your favorite comedian?
Kevin Hart.
Favorite food?
Pizza, but I don't eat it.
Where was?
I dream
Liar.
about it.
Liar. You eat it. That's okay.
Once a month.
Exactly. Okay. So everything in balance, everything in life in moderation is good. All right. Where's the last place you traveled?
Oh gosh. Boston.
Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Beatles.
What's your favorite personality trait that you like about yourself?
My excitement.
Are you a good driver?
No.
Okay. So your husband always drives then, right?
Or I Uber everywhere.
Or you Uber? Oh, really? You Uber a lot?
Oh
then?
yeah, I go to LA 2 to 3 times a week. I just Uber, 'cause
Oh,
then I
that's
can
so
work.
cool.
So I try to. I mean, unless I have my kids in the car, obviously I'm gonna Uber. If I'm alone, I'm Ubering.
Very cool. Like that. And then lastly, what's the ultimate dream, man? What's
Oh
your dream?
gosh. Well, I mean, I see myself. I want to have like a oceanfront home, like on the sand. I want a home like that, and I want to have like a couple places in third world countries saving moms specifically from sex trafficking out there and giving them skills to be productive in life and helping them start their businesses. And so that's a huge, huge thing for me. I want to help 1 million women become millionaires. And like, I'm not going to stop. And probably when I hit that, then it's going to be like 2 million women, you know? So I'm just like going to keep going. But the ultimate dream for me is just like, it's honestly what I'm living right now. It's like having the freedom to do whatever I want, to dream big, to constantly grow. And I just see myself like, I want my kids to do the same thing. Like my kids, you know what they play? They play Shark Tank. Like they're not normal kids. They're hilarious. So I just want to see them shine bright. Like I want to see them be like super impactful on this world. And that's like, to me, that's like success, you know?
That's so fun. I love the Shark Tank. I think I've watched every episode of the that ever been produced. I think our family actually Shark Tank together as a family. So we love that. Hey, look,
Aw.
I want everybody to right now because I look. How do we get a hold of you? I mean, I know people right now, they're listening and they're thinking, I love this lady. She's freaking a stud at, and she's a winner, and I want to connect with her and I want to get in touch with her. So how can they do that?
Yeah, I think the first place is on Instagram. It's Cayla.craft, Cayla Craft. And then I also have a podcast called the Mommy Millionaire podcast, and we give out, you know, inspiring stories and business strategies over there. And then also just for your audience, so they know, because you asked about social media, on mommymillionaire.co, I actually have a free branding questionnaire, and it helps you create content for your perfect avatar, which is your ideal client. And, you know, you just get it off there. It's completely free, and it'll help you guys like be more comfortable with posting content on social media. You
Oh, I
know,
love that. Thank you
so
so much. This is so awesome. And hey, look, so you guys are out there that are listening and watching. Share this podcast, okay? Follow us on Instagram. Follow Kayla. Follow her on everywhere. I know she's on YouTube as well. So she's got all kinds of great content on YouTube. And of course, we're still signing up people every day for the Wealth on the Beach Club. So it's 1 hour lesson with me every single week for 1/2 an hour. I do a lesson, 1/2 an hour Q&A. And check out alonzoacademy.com for all those details. As always, check out my YouTube channel. Lots of good free content on there. I'm here to serve. I'm here to bring you some of the greatest minds in business and in the world, some of the greatest people in the world. And Kayla, you are one of those people. So thank you for being here. And as always, everybody, dream bigger than ever, but make sure that you do it now. God bless you. We'll see you at the top.